Weekly links for Odysee, chute. Scarlett Johansson's Dark Spider film is predicted to be a bomb. What happened to Hollywood? How it started? How did you lose your love? How did you fall out of love with Hollywood? I love stupid superhero films, or at least I used to. But hearing Brie Larson's racist, sexist, and ageist comments were like a splash of cold water in the face. To hear such racist hatred was shocking. For her open hatred to be accepted by Hollywood was a bit of an eye-opener. As a marginalized and oppressed, disenfranchised person of color myself, I know the face of the oppressor when I see her. Brie Larson. Brie Larson called an entire group of people subhuman. And people defended her. Her fans defended her, and the media defended her. That would be reprehensible for any other group, but the group she insulted, I guess, don't count. Is Brie Larson literally a German of the 1930s? Is Brie the granddaughter of the Austrian corporal? Maybe. And then the Coomers rewarded Brie and made Captain Marvel $1 billion because Coomers have no souls. They have eaten soy their whole life and it has destroyed them. They live to be abused, aroused, and coom. I'm cooming! And own the magatards on Twitter. And they're the kind of people who would drive across a parking lot to get fast food. They abhor exercise. Walking is for peasants. Great, I kicked off some chat on Twitter. Now he's on Gab and he's forming a militia. Good going. Maybe Twitter kicking people off is not such a good thing. You know, if you had a free speech platform where both sides could openly discuss things, you would have some balance, but you don't have that. On Twitter, you have the far left communist group. And on Gab, you've got more moderates, but you've also got a right group too. I don't know. I don't see this ending well. If anything's going to start as the Civil War II, it's going to be alternative media, or rather, it will be mainstream media being so censorious that alternative media had to be created. So Captain Marvel made $1 billion because the movie fit in the Marvel universe between the two biggest films in movie history, which I think is going to hold that record for quite a long time, because I don't know how eager I am to go sit in a theater next to the next Typhoid Mary, even wearing an N95 for 2 hours. I'm not sure about that. But her racist, sexist, ageist comments stuck in people's minds. And, you know, they were kind of percolating back there. Her comments were just part of the totality of Hollywood's circumstances. You had Epstein, Weinstein, and a bunch of other filthy perverts, where Hollywood just accepted these people preying on women and children. Then you have the nonstop anti-white hatred and race swapping. And then you add in the Disney trilogy that was shockingly misandrist. The men were treated like developmentally disabled babies. It was embarrassing to watch. That Admiral Holdo, oh dear Lord. And they made Wonder Woman Part 2, where the plot was a blonde Trump analog bad. Then a second story about another blonde guy in a suit who's an alcoholic who's drinking something out of a paper bag. He's in a suit and tie and an overcoat. He's in a city, and he's just standing out in the middle of nowhere. He's not in a bar. He's not in a restaurant. He's not at home. He's got money. He's professional. He's in a tie, and he's choosing to drink out of a paper bag on a street. Why? Here's why. Because they couldn't make him homeless, because then that is attacking the homeless population and the drug-addicted population, the alcoholic population. So they had to make him wealthy. So the story bends over backwards to make this wealthy blonde man harassing women. But as soon as you hit like 20, you realize like this doesn't make any sense. He would be mugged, he would be beaten, and they would probably delete him from life if he was. It's called rolling drunks. So it's insane, but Patty Jenkins just has this thing for, people in Hollywood have a thing for blondes, blue eyes. Oh, and then let me ask, why did they dye Pedro Pascal's hair blonde? Why couldn't he just be Spanish? Isn't Spanish, Mediterranean people good enough for Hollywood? Not if they're in the role of the antagonist, because they don't need to destroy the Spanish, not yet. Then they needed to destroy the Germans, so they make 90% of the antagonists blonde, blue-eyed. Dear Hollywood, people are waking up to who you people are. The thing is, it wasn't that long ago that Hollywood made good films, but you got to break down films made by these anti-white misandrist crowds versus films made by people who know that men and Europeans are freaking awesome. Take a look at Lord of the Rings. Hollywood can make films, they just choose not to, or they choose to make propaganda now. There are just too many globalists in Hollywood for it to be worth it, and you're not going to take over Hollywood. The best you could hope for is make a parallel industry on smaller budgets, which could be done because technology is putting power into people's hands. Like what you could do with like $500,000 or $100,000. So look at Clerks, look at Special Dead, and look at Stan Helsing. Those are like $50,000 films, $600,000 films, and $6 million films. You can kind of look at those, what you can do for not very much money. Remember Spider-Man? They replaced MJ with a non-person of the light. That is bad enough, but then they have a lecture about involuntary servants doing construction in Washington, D.C. Well, boo-hoo, ninja, I don't care. I don't go through the trouble of getting a VPN to go sailing for a movie to be lectured to by people who I don't care about events I don't care about, by people who defended Epstein and Weinstein, and who stood up and applauded Woody Allen and Roman Polanski. Hollywood has a problem with abusing children and women, and they also think that everyone else has a problem. No, Hollywood, you need to take it your own. You need to clean your own house. There's no cleaning it. It's completely corrupted. It's falling apart. It's barely a frame. It's so infested with evil. You're never going to sweep that out. Yeah, oh no, 200 years ago, times were rough in America. Yeah, they were rough in Ireland, and they were rough in the rest of the world. You just can't make me care about events 200 years ago that weren't in my timeline. My ancestors may have been pirates who press-ganged, kidnapped, slaughtered, and snuggled anything that moved. Great, good for them. I hope they had a good time. I didn't do it. I don't care. That's not what films are for. These are stupid, escapist action films. They were made to sell toys. I guarantee that if they remake Commando, it will be a dark-countenanced trans person who has to fight off a group of blonde Germans who kidnapped Zur's baby. The plot line will be, a Nordic Aryan-looking people who think that they're better than other people, who have a lot of iron crosses and crooked crosses. That's like less than 1% of the population, where communists are like, 10% of the population. Communism deleted about 1,000 times more people than fascism. Yeah, but the media is actually literally controlled by communists. That's why they're focusing on the only thing that can fight back against communism. Birds of Prey bombed, as did X-Men, Terminator, Charlie's Angels, Men in Black, Ocean's 8, Ghostbusters, Wonder Woman 2. That's just what I'm thinking of the top of my head. Movies are so far gone that there is no saving them. Nobody is excited about Scarlett Johansson. She should get on stage and say, I don't need a 40-year-old trans, black, Jewish, gay, they, them, criticizing my films. It's not made for them. Maybe then Black Widow will hit $1 billion. Dear Scarlett, retire, have kids before you dry up. You're a good-looking MILF, but you're getting too old for Hollywood. Oh, and then Disney fired my fat Italian waifu, Gina Carano, who I would put her on the keto and sex diet, and I expect her phone call any minute now. I'm sure she'll be knocking on my door, just pushing the women out of the way. Black Widow was an ancillary character. I don't think people want to see middle-aged, 5'3", 120 pounds of D-Cup's mom running around beating up evil blonde men for 2 hours, and not to sit in a theater for it. But for her, the film's a big paycheck. The film may even lose money at first, but the studio might not care because they can put it on streaming. They just need content. It doesn't have to be good content. Hey, the evidence is right before you. People just like something to distract them, pretty much. The Disney Star Wars in 2015 started to turn the taste of films to ashes in my mouth. People just couldn't believe that films were that bad. And then the second and third film got even worse. Roundhead and Big Nose were on a mission to destroy Star Wars, but it seemed to be par for the course, and I don't hear anybody excited about Scarlett's Dark Spider film. And people don't hate her. She just seems like a standard idiot in Hollywood who sold her pussy when it was young and fresh. Now she's acting like Sacha Baron Cohen and Sarah Silverman after they got their 30 pieces of silver. They decided to change the rules so up-and-comers couldn't get their 30 pieces. Their filthy lucre, I think. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Get on Odysee, BitChute, Gab. Join the Discord if you're brave. It's got a bunch of weirdos in it, myself included. And support me on Coffee, PayPal, Patreon. I'll see you guys all next episode.